out here at the Dove field. I just dropped the video where we're out here spraying the corn post-emergent with glyphosate. That was earlier this morning. Now I'm back out here, gonna spread some brown top millet in that back field. We are just using the PTO spreader, broadcast spreading the brown top millet. We're not turning it in the dirt, not incorporating it. We're just gonna do a true broadcast spreading. So why brown top millet? We have played around with a lot of different millets out here. We have done German millet, Japanese millet, brown top millet, and even tried some pearl millet last year. And by far, the brown top millet does the best for us. It matures the quickest, has the least amount of detritus that has to dry out before we can burn it. That's the key with this millet. We like to grow it to maturity quickly, get it to dry out quickly, so we can come back across it, fire burn the field, and really open up that ground for the doves. And we have found that brown top millet is the best for that. Recommended seeding rate when broadcast spreading is about 20 to 30 pounds per acre. We've got about 1.1 acres back there. We've got a 50-pound bag, so we're gonna go ahead and use it up. There are a ton of doves back there. They're gonna eat some of this millet. So between the bird predation and some of the inefficiencies of broadcasting, I wanna go a little bit higher just to make sure we get really good coverage. We did the no-till sunflower drilling all through this oats and wheat, and we have a lot of germination. And knock on wood, the deer aren't hammering them too hard, but right down through all this detritus, you look in here and we've got sunflower plants coming up, and not just a few of them, we've got a lot of them. This is really cool. We ran the drill through here 1 or 2 passes. We ended up with some decent sunflower germination. I sprayed all this, did a glyphosate burn down 2 weeks ago. Looks great. Looks like I got really good coverage. And that was before the sunflowers had a chance to germinate. So they have since germinated and popped up, and there are a bunch of them. But I am still confident the deer will eventually make their way through here, clipping all these off. So I am still committing to spreading the brown top millet back here and having a millet field. And very interesting over here where we work the ground, learning and testing and calibrating the drill, we are smothered in grasses, and I do think there's some millet from last year coming in, but where we work the ground has significantly more grasses, weeds, and growth coming in than the no-till area. And all of this got sprayed at the same time. It's just whatever was in that dirt had not popped and germinated yet. And I think the no-till area over there, that mulch cover is definitely suppressing weed growth, because it is night and day difference between the work soil and the no-till area. The goal with broadcasting this millet is for it to fall down in all these little nooks and crannies. So that millet lands down in this detritus right here, it'll germinate no problem. It does not have to be incorporated into the soil from my experience. Millet is very tolerant just to being broadcast spread, especially across uneven ground that is full of detritus. That seed bed will be perfect down in there. Mulch cover should be off to the races. So I'm gonna err on the side of caution and just barely open this up. And we'll see how that does. 50 pounds of brown top millet, 1.1 acres. Let's get it spread. Well, that doesn't get any easier. GoPro said 7 minutes to spread that 50 pounds of millet. So it's just super easy, broadcasting it right into this detritus. One of my favorite things to do is just pick a random spot, dig around, see if we can find millet. There it is, 1, 2, 3, right there sitting on moist soil, and that thatch layer was above it. That seed will germinate within just a couple days and be off to the races. This has worked well before for us, so fingers crossed it'll work well again this year. Having all this thatch and mulch cover makes it a really, really nice, conducive area for that millet to pop up, stay protected, stay moist, keep the weed suppression down, then that millet's off to the races. It's a fast-growing grass-like plant, so it should be able to compete well with the grasses and weeds that could try to come in. But I am still confident the deer will make their way through here, slowly clipping off the sunflowers. And whatever sunflowers do survive, I think the millet and any other volunteer grasses or weeds will quickly come in and smother these out. That's been my experience with a dirty sunflower field before. But you guys asked for it. We're going to try it and just see how it turns out. But the main goal back here is to have a brown top millet field that we can fire burn off later for the doves. It would appear a deer got tangled up in my top line trying to jump it, the rascal. I'm sure it scared him and spooked him. I'll show you this sunflower field real quick. All is not lost, it's just not great. 1 or 2 plants, big gap, and I think that's what's happening with that cedar. It would catch the seed, finally pulse and drop it. It would take a while for the seed to build back up, then it would drop it, and sometimes it would drop these monster wads where those really aren't going to turn into much. That's way too much crowding right there. I'm actually going to hand thin some of these areas to try and give them the most chance to survive. But as you look across the field, we do have sunflowers, and they are in rows. It's just not as uniform and consistent coverage as I would like. But I do think we will end up with some sunflowers out here. I do not think all is lost. So I'm gonna get this top line put back up, but fingers crossed, we are gonna successfully keep the deer out of here. I am not seeing any deer tracks in there, any predation as I drive and walk around this field. So mission accomplished so far. And up here is pretty interesting. This is where I broadcast spread Perdovic sunflowers next to the Clearfield sunflowers as a comparison. These are broadcast spread and then lightly dished under. You see how much more comprehensive coverage we've got, and I'll be honest with you, it looks a lot better from just a plant germination and coverage standpoint. But we tried something different. We knew this might be what happened, but I committed to just letting it play out. We do have sunflowers in here. It's just not exactly what we hoped as far as the spacing goes, but it's still early. I think once they start to flush out, it'll start looking a little bit better in the coming weeks. But for now, it is what it is. I'm really liking this line fluttering that's going on with the wind. I'm really hoping that's going to spook the deer a little bit. I mean, this right here tells you ultimately what this whole field looks like. Clusters in rows right next to just wide open bare nothingness. So this field is going to be as sporadic and unproductive as you could ask for there being $100 worth of seed out here. So I'm trying to stay positive. It's getting harder and harder the more this field starts to come to life here. Couldn't leave off without a field corn update, and this is probably our biggest success story so far this year. This is exactly 32 days after planting 90-day corn. We're 32 days into it. We're going to V6 phase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, on to 7 actually. So it got sprayed just ahead of the V8, which is perfect. Right as it's starting to get to be about 24 to 30 inches tall. Perfect time to have sprayed it. But I am very excited about this Eagle hybrid field corn here. Glyphosate tolerant. Really curious to see how this field turns out. If you didn't watch the field corn spraying video, go back and watch it. Just dropped that one. If you didn't watch the planting of the corn, certainly go back and watch all that. It's all there. Search it on the channel. Use that search feature at the top of the page on the home page. You'll be able to find whatever you're looking for. But I really appreciate you guys following along. I'll keep updating you throughout the process. We'll keep an eye on this corn. Certainly keep an eye on that sunflower field over there. It's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. And then once the brown top millet back there germinates out, starts to flush out, I'll give you an update there as well. But until then, really appreciate you guys watching. God bless. Take care.